Well, welcome to the Top Gun Show. On the show today is none other than Wayne Hankins, the Senior Manager of Solutions Engineering in the channel for T-Mobile, the sponsor of the Top Gun Show. Wayne is a top-notch channel sales engineering leader, innovator, convergent thinker, cross-functional expert in cybersecurity frameworks, carrier wireline and wireless networks. Prior to the merger, he spent over 12 years in senior management positions overseeing solutions engineering, wireline, wireless, and IoT teams. He is a veteran that served our country as a communication specialist and has more certifications under his belt than anyone I know. Wayne combines the approachability of Southern charm and the intelligence of Albert Einstein. He may be the smartest guy I've ever known, seriously. Wayne, welcome to the Top Gun Show.
Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate the kind words.
I'm honored to just be sitting with you again, man. It's so good to see you.
It's great to see you as well.
So great to see you, man. So with your background, I'm sort of at a loss to know what to ask you. I mean, you've done so many things. It's kind of like opening up a box of Steve's candy. Which one do I pick first? But let's start with a topic that always seems to be on the forefront, security. There are so many providers that offer security services. How do you recommend to a sales advisor how to start their cybersecurity practice?
That's a great question. I get probably two common questions when I deal with business problem solvers in the channel. Is one, Wayne, I've got all this experience maybe in the wireline carrier business, but how do I get into IoT and security, because it can be somewhat intimidating. In security, again, there's a lot of different domains. I always try to ask them to really kind of simplify it, right? I mean, everybody deals with passwords every day. Every time I go into a system, I'm going to deal with passwords. And it's one of the highest rate causes of breaches within companies today. So to me, I always let's simplify it. Let's go look at, multi-factor authentication as a way for you to kind of learn the business, and a good way to get in there and start working with your customers, because everybody's dealing with passwords, and as we all know, breaches are more common. Easiest way to fix a lot of that stuff is have multi-factor authentication processes put in place. So that's one way I always recommend these business partners get started.
Yeah, that's a good entryway, right? Because you can go down a lot of different hallways after you start with that kind of conversation. Yeah. For sure. Good advice. Well, talk about a recent win in security. Talk about how your team was brought into the deal. What was the sales process like, and what led the customer to make a decision to select T-Mobile?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So, the engineers at T-Mobile are hypersensitive about security, regardless of where their area of responsibility is. So, most recently, we sell quite a bit of Cloud Connect, as Dave said last week. Everybody's moving their applications to the cloud, so that does require extra authentication. So as we were designing the cross connects to get into those data centers, the engineer pretty quickly picked up, well, how are you authenticating your users as they hit the cloud? Because now I'm taking something that's protected on premise and I put it into somebody else's responsibility.
Right.
So that was an easy way for us to pick up our T-Mobile authentication solution for our partner. Again, our partner really had no experience selling security, and this was a great entrance way for them to get into the door and start feeling like they can actually start making more of an impact in that area.
Yeah, I think a lot of sales partners, they sell connectivity or something that they feel like they're an expert in, but they don't really know how to bring up or who to bring up security conversations with. Every customer would say that they're interested in talking about security. I think CIOs and CEOs across the country would list that as probably their top concern, right? So who do you engage with? Who does a sales partner engage with? Who do they reach out to at a customer? Who's the buyer of security?
That's a great question. So a lot of times, especially as your traditional telecom agent goes and works, they always went to the telecom guy to go start working on, trying to sell circuits and stuff. And there's really a lot of business decision makers now with security because everybody's affected. So what I always recommend is go see who owns the applications and how secure that they want those applications, and let them drive that down. And then the business owners, go meet with those individuals and then ask them how important it is to make sure that their data is protected. So again, don't go just to your traditional telecom decision maker. Talk broad across the business segment, because everybody's invested to make sure that they got secure data in the cloud.
Right, right. I'm going to change things up here because you already given us some great advice. I was going to say, what advice would you give to sales partners just starting out their book? But I want to find out more about you, Wayne. I want to know, because there are millions of people watching this wanting to know a little known fact about yourself.
Oh man, Dave Falter calls me like the jack of all trades. That's the way I am with my hobbies and stuff too. I mean, if you had to kind of nail it down, I'm an outdoors guy. So, and that's what's incredible about the T-Mobile network. It used to be I could get outdoors and I didn't have good coverage. I've got really good coverage, and you'd be surprised, whether I'm in the bottom of the Grand Canyon or out in the middle of the Appalachian Trail. I usually have pretty good coverage. So, outdoors guy. Goes with the Southern charm, I guess.
Well, that's because everything's magenta in the whole country. I mean, bottom of the Grand Canyon, it's now painted magenta everywhere. That's great, man. I'm glad you're an outdoors guy. That's why you keep things simple, but keep things tight, right? Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show today, Wayne.
I enjoyed the show.
Great to see you. I'm fortunate to have so many wonderful friends at T-Mobile. Next week, I have the pleasure of interviewing my good friend Scott Valentine, the sales director of Wireline Channel Sales. You will not want to miss that. Tune in next week. Anyway, thanks again, Wayne. Appreciate it, and thanks for watching, everybody.